like and subscribe. Also, I don't know if you can hear me in this chat or whatever, but if you can hear me in the chat, put a 1. If you can't, put 2. 1 is yes, 2 is no. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start because people don't know me, so I'm just a small YouTuber starting out, but here we go.
Detailed in your report, Mr. Efron told you about an incident, I think you just described it, that
This
occurred
wasn't
on
really the
November
one that
6,
I wanted to see.
2021, involving Mr. Mayers and 2 other people he identified as ASAP Hills and 12, right?
Yes.
Okay. And specifically, if you testified to this, Mr. Efron told you that as he was approached by Mr. Mayers pulled out a gun from 5 to 10 feet away. Is that what he told you?
Yes.
Okay. In fact, the first page of your investigative report has a pre-printed box, which is called weapon, right?
Yes.
Okay. And that's for you to identify any weapon that a complainant reports to you, correct?
Correct.
Right. And you made a note in that report of a gun, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, if a knife were involved in an incident, that's an important fact you would know, right?
Yes.
Right. And you didn't make any note of the knife in this case, either in that pre-printed box or in the narrative portion of your report, correct?
Correct.
And that's obviously because Mr. Efron, when reporting to you what happened, didn't tell you that 12 displayed a knife to him during the incident, right?
He did not.
Right. In fact, Mr. Efron made no mention of a knife being involved in this incident, correct?
Correct.
To the contrary, rather than displaying a knife, Mr. Efron told you that 12 actually attempted to de-escalate the situation. Is that right?
Yes.
Right. And he told you that ASAP Hills also tried to de-escalate the situation, correct?
Yes.
Now, during your interview with Mr. Efron, he also told you that he returned to the scene of the incident approximately an hour later.
Yes.
Is that right? And he gave you those 2 shell casings that he claimed to recover from the scene, the ones we just saw, right?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Just stand as the word claim.
Okay.
I cannot see this one person that just came in. I don't know why.
Yes.
Can you hear? Let me know if you can hear it.
Mr. Efron told you he recovered
2
those shell
people.
casings
Let me know if you can hear me.
November 6, 2021,
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me.
He didn't give them
And
to
put
you 2 days later.
2 in the chat if it's no.
2021, right?
Yes.
1 in the chat for yes. 2
2
in the chat for no. You can't hear a daggone thing I'm saying.
And obviously, as a
Bob,
law enforcement officer,
somebody let me know in the chat if you can hear me. And don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe.
Because you understood that
Now this is day 7.
right?
Yes.
Y'all know I love me some ASAP. And I've been missing it. I came home from work and said, oh my Lord, let me find out what is going on.
Yes.
You saw a picture of it on the screen, right?
Yes.
Okay. And after him telling you about that small scrape, and you seeing it, you
Can
clearly
y'all see
didn't
that
see a
from
need
the
to
top?
get him an ambulance or some type of medical treatment, right?
Right.
In fact, at that time, on November 8, 2021...
Don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe. Guys, please let me know if you can hear me.
What, if any, medical treatment he already received for that small scrape? You asked him about that, right?
Yes.
And what he told you was,
Something is not
I just treated it myself on the day before.
Welcome to live
right?
chat.
Correct.
Remember to guard your privacy.
Now,
And
you were
my
asked
arguments
by
will.
Mr. President about the reported statements that Mr. Efron made to you, right?
Yes.
Can someone hit the like button if you can hear
Mr. Efron
me?
made all of his statements to you. He had a civil lawyer standing next to him, right?
Yes.
Now, you said, you asked Mr. Efron why he waited 2 days to report the incident. And he told you it was because he wanted to have a lawyer present with him, right?
Yes.
Okay. Did Mr. Efron tell you that another reason he waited to report the incident is because he was attempting to contact Mr. Mayor's quote-unquote people, including his manager, Mr. Mayor's manager, trying to get money before he even contacted a lawyer? Did he tell you that?
No.
In fact, Mr. Efron never told you that before coming to see you, meaning before he made his report to the police, that he had already texted a screenshot of the straight fingers to Mr. Mayor's manager with messages saying that he, Mr. Efron, was getting rich. He never told you that, right?
No.
I'm asking what was told you. And the answer was he never communicated that to you, right?
Correct.
In fact, Mr. Efron also did not tell you that before coming to the police, he already sent a text message to his own business associate saying, quote, I want to get this N-word's money, referring to Mr. Mays. He never told you that either, right?
Right.
And Mr. Efron also did not tell you that before making his report to the police, before he came to you, Mr. Mays texted him that Mr. Efron was trying to extort him, that Mr. Efron should stop calling Mr. Mayor's manager, and that Mr. Efron should call the police. He never told you any of that, did he?
He did not.
Thank you very much. I don't have anything further.
Thanks for your
How long did you estimate your interview with Mr. Efron was?
Approximately maybe 20 minutes.
And included in that 20 minutes, some of that time was you actually writing down or documenting things on your report?
Yes.
Is your report a verbatim transcript of what Mr. Efron told you, or a summary?
A summary.
The gun that Mr. Efron reported was pointed at him. Did he tell you what kind of gun it was? Meaning, was it a revolver or something automatic?
He just said black handgun.
Okay. Did you document something in your report that it was a specific type of gun?
I'd have to review the report.
What did he tell you?
It was a semi-automatic.
Okay. You were asked about latent fingerprints. How many times are you aware of latent fingerprints being lifted off of cartridge cases?
I wouldn't know the answer.
Have you ever received a latent prick report documenting fingerprints on fire cartridge cases yourself personally?
No.
Okay. I have nothing else.
There you are. All right, thank you, Officer Anderson.
Thank you.
Next witness.
My next witness is Detective Flores.
Thank you. So state the testimony you may give in the cause not to repeat this one. The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, sir.
Can you please take a seat and witness stand there? Again, please state. Spell your name for me.
Yes. First name is Frank, F-R-A-N-K. Last name is Flores, F-L-O-R-E-S.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Sir, would you tell the jury what your occupation and assignment are?
Yes, I'm a detective of Los Angeles Police Department. Assigned to Rare Robbery and Homicide Division.
Were you also in that assignment in November of 2021?
Yes, I was.
How long have you been a police officer for?
Just over 29 years now.
Were you one of the assigned detectives on this case?
Yes, I was.
Who were your partners on this case?
I was assigned along with Detective Carlos Camacho and Detective Danetta Benefit.
And were you
If you
and
can
your
hear
partner
me,
assigned to
please
the
put a 1 in the chat
2021?
Yes.
or say hi or something. If you can't,
After you were assigned
put a
to this
2.
case, did you go to the location where the crime occurred, and specifically
What the
to
world?
Vista Del Mar and Selma Avenue in the
Oh my
city of
gosh.
Los
I
Angeles?
don't know if
Yes.
y'all can hear it or not.
What was your primary focus in returning to that location?
Primary focus was to canvass the area for cameras, witnesses, any evidence related to the incident that was reported.
And when you say cameras, would that be like surveillance video footage?
Yes, I mean, anything private, public, anything that would capture events from that night.
Okay, I'm going to show you what I marked as one. Do you recognize the area that's depicted here?
Yes.
Okay. I can turn on the little screen for you too, if that makes it easier. It's not going to be back to this.
Okay.
When you went back to that location, were you able to observe surveillance camera footage from any locations in that area?
Yes.
Would you point out any of those locations on the map for the jury?
Yes. So there was a large area that was canvassed. Argyle here would be on the west side, south side, Selma, Vista Del Mar, which is the north-south street, which kind of dodges right, comes east-west, and exits out to El Centro. Was also canvassed, along with, I believe, Hollywood Boulevard as well. So roughly the entire kind of block with the side street of Vista Del Mar in between.
Okay, we've heard about this location, 6200 Hollywood Boulevard. Can you point out for the jury where that location is on this map or graphic?
Yes, 6200 is pretty much the entire, encompasses the whole block. It's a very large property, which encompasses from Hollywood down to Selma, down to Vista Del Mar, that's central on the east.
Okay. Would there be, you said all the way down to Selma, but would these buildings right at the northeast corner of Argyle and Selma, those would be separate from 6200?
Correct. Kind of cuts off right around the bend here, Vista Del Mar down.
Got it, okay. And we also heard reference in Mr. Efron's testimony to the W Hotel. Can you point out for the jury where the W Hotel would be?
Yes, the W would be here on the west side of Argyle. There's a large kind of lobby entrance, parking entrance here. I believe this is it here. Roughly mid-block between Hollywood and Selma on the west side of the street.
So right where it says Argyle Avenue, you were pointing just to the left of that, those kind of two white lines. Would that be the driveway that would drive into sort of the valet area of the W Hotel?
Correct, that's my rough estimate, yes.
Okay. The locations where you observed surveillance video from, can you point out those locations?
Yes. So the first point was the parking structure off Argyle, which is roughly just here on Argyle on the east side of the street, just north of Selma. The parking area where the first incident took place. As we continued the path south and then east, as we began northbound on Vista Del Mar, there were cameras here at, I believe this is 1616 Vista Del Mar, which is a kind of privately owned building. And then beyond that, there were cameras attached to 6200 Hollywood Boulevard. In the windows, roughly kind of on the bend here, on the exterior of the base floor of 6200, kind of the rear end. As the street opened back up to North El Centro, there was an additional camera here at, which roughly described as a kind of loading dock to the building, which is on El Centro, just north of Vista Del Mar.
Okay, Your Honor, if I may mark my next exhibit, Eagles 33. It's a single-page document with a photograph of that area of Vista Del Mar and Selma with annotations and markings on it. showing you what I marked as equals 33. You recognize what you see here?
Yes,
And you see a number of red boxes, the 1, 2, 3, 4.
correct.
Are those each locations where camera footage was retrieved from?
Yes,
Let's start with 1. Would that be the parking structure that you talked about?
yes.
All right, so just to the left of the 1, you see the green triangle with the green arrow in it.
Yes, I do.
Can you describe for the jury what would be represented roughly by that green triangle and arrow?
That would be roughly the angle of the camera, which was under the parking structure, kind of awning at the entrance. And the camera faces northbound towards Hollywood Boulevard, which would be First Major Street up.
Okay. And you observed video from that location, correct?
Correct.
I'm going to show you people's 14. Do you recognize what you see there?
Yes,
And can you orient the jury to what we're looking there in relation to what you just described on the prior exhibit?
yes, this is a southbound view, looking at the parking lot where the first camera was located, where the incident first began. So this would be a southbound view towards Selma, which would be right where this intersection is on the bottom end of the page. So northbound view of the camera, looking south.
Okay. And when you were pointing out where the camera was, you were kind of pointing underneath kind of to the roof area underneath where that parking lot driveway is, correct?
That's correct.
And I think you were specifically closer to where, I think it says restricted entry.
Yes, roughly there, that area.
Okay.
Can somebody put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me?
After you
Or
observed
2
the
if you
video
can't.
of that location, were you able to obtain a copy of it?
Yes, I have
Because I don't know if you can or not. And I don't
see
see like any
different videos,
comments or
different areas,
anything.
different times. But yes, we did end up getting a copy of video from this specific camera.
In order to get that specific video, was there anything that you had to do?
Yes,
What was that?
there was a search warrant authored to get copies of video from specifically this camera and the adjoining camera on the El Centro side of the loading dock.
Okay.
What is this for?
What you're talking
the
about is
world?
the number 1 and the number 4 on
Highlight
People's
saved
33?
to your
Correct.
channel as unlisted. No.
I want to stay with the parking lot first, though.
We need to start our highlight. I don't want to start a highlight. Can someone put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me? A 2 if you cannot hear anything at all. Oh my goodness. What the world?
Now, on People's Exhibit 15,
I don't.
there's 2 files in a folder labeled 6200 Hollywood Boulevard, WNEM. And I'm specifically pulling up the one that says commercial parking entrance. Now, one second. Sorry, this is really hard to read. Where I have it paused right now is at this video. Do you agree with that?
Yes,
The entire amount of video that you collected from there, was it 1 hour, 18 minutes, and 6 seconds long?
yes.
And was there a specific time that you started that specific time from when the video started that you collected?
I believe we're looking at roughly, well, the time of the incident,
Would it have been around 10 o'clock?
around roughly 10 o'clock.
Okay. And the video that we're seeing here, would this be the raw video footage that you received from that location?
Yes.
All right, we'll just play it forward a few seconds.
I don't know why y'all would be doing that right there anyway. Y'all know it's canvas. It's the only part that really makes me mad. Why?
Okay. Detective, can you read the time that it's paused there at?
Yes, it shows 10:15,
Wow.
10 minutes, 15 seconds.
Okay.
Really makes me mad. ASAP, you ain't got no business acting simple.
Next exhibit.
We got 2 kids. You done made it there. Why when y'all make it, y'all start acting dumb? Oh my goodness.
From this parking lot video, they're
Woo.
individually labeled A, B, and C.
Let's just hurry up and be over. You think I was part of this? Jeez. And down in some garage. Down in some garage. You got mansions. And you come to me and spite in some daggone garage. Oh my goodness. I wouldn't even have time. What the world? Put your own self in these predicaments. Your own self.
No, it's kind of an odd color up there. Detective. So do you recognize where those 3 cylinders are captured from?
Yes,
And what would that be?
that's from the camera that was recovered at the parking structure.
Now, would you tell the jurors just a little bit about your background, training, and experience when it comes to firearms?
Well, I would consider myself an expert. I carried a firearm as long as I've been a police officer prior to. I've attended training days, qualified, their marksmanship, safety skills with firearms. So I have a good basic understanding of my job and through some extracurricular training days.
Now, in the course of your 29 years of experience, have you had an opportunity to use both semi-automatic pistols and revolvers?
Yes, I carry both.
Are you generally familiar with the difference between those 2 types of firearms?
Yes,
And could you describe that to the jury?
yes. A revolver is kind of the older technology of the firearm, the original firearm. It's a wheel gun. It's a wheel where the gun is manually loaded with the ammunition, and after you fire, you have to manually unload it.
Talk in the microphone.
There's a lot more handling of the weapon. When you shoot it, doesn't eject casings like a semi-automatic handgun. So it's also a generally lower capacity weapon, meaning most revolvers are limited to 5 or 6 rounds of capacity. A semi-automatic is more of a modern era weapon. It's a magazine and cartridge fed weapon, which can hold a large capacity of rounds. Anything from a small semi-automatic can hold 5, 6 rounds up to 17, 18 rounds, depending on the size of the semi-automatic handgun. When you fire that gun, the difference is casings eject. Anytime you fire it, casing will eject from the handgun to clear the way for the next round. Versus a revolver, when it fires, the wheel just spins to the next available chamber. So,
A big difference in what you can see in the two guns is that wheel that you're describing on the revolver, right?
yes, the revolver's fairly distinct.
And when you watch this video or even observing the still images on the screen up there, based upon your background, training, and experience in law enforcement and handling both semi-automatics and revolvers, what is your opinion with regard to what type of gun that is, specifically between a revolver or a semi-automatic pistol?
No doubt, semi-automatic.
Okay. Moving on to the next location. So, equals 33, and focus in on location number 2. I believe you already said in your testimony that that location was 1616 Vista Del Mar Avenue, correct?
Correct.
And you said it was a private building, privately owned building, correct?
That was my understanding, yes.
Okay. When you observed video from that location, were there a number of cameras attached to the location?
Yes.
Now, I have people's 33 up here, which I think will make it easier for you to explain, but if you would, could you explain generally how those cameras were, what direction those cameras were facing that were attached to that one building?
Yes. Well, basically, if you're looking at the green cones, they represent a camera that was facing in that specific direction. So the property kind of sits on the corner of the bend that goes from Vista Del Mar northbound to Vista Del Mar eastbound. So the cameras face roughly, are placed around the building, facing different angles outwards towards the street.
Okay, so the bottommost one on the building label number 2, that one, that would have been facing towards the intersection of Vista Del Mar and Selma, correct?
Correct.
And that's the grainy surveillance video that we watched a number of times, correct?
Correct.
The very next one to the left of that, it looks like it's facing towards, that one, the 6200 Hollywood building. What area would that have captured?
It's roughly as the street begins to turn, that's roughly the front of the building. We'll roughly cover kind of the pedestrian entrance to the building.
Okay. And then going up to the northmost part of the building, there's 2 additional cameras there, correct?
Correct.
Do those cameras kind of overlap in their coverage?
Yes, roughly they do.
All right. Go back to People's 15. The hard drive. There's a separate folder labeled 1616 Vista Del Mar. Detective, you see there's 2 files in that folder, correct?
Correct.
They both start with the word magic.
Yes.
Okay. The first one ends in the number 3000. I'm going to open up that file. Do you recognize what you see here?
Yes.
Can you describe this at all for the jurors?
Yes, roughly this is camera number 1 on would be the south side of the building at 1616.
Hold on one second. So before you number the cameras, they're actually labeled in the top left-hand corner, correct?
Correct.
So that the top leftmost corner would be camera 1, and there's no image display, correct?
Correct.
And then camera number 2 is the next one over in the top middle, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I'm going to skip forward. Is this how the video came to you when you first viewed it?
Yes.
I'm going to jump over here. It's going to be hard for me to see up there, so I'm going to pull it over and then I'll bring it back to you. Right now I have it paused at 22:16:55. Okay, so from, we have it paused here. There's 4 cameras that are displayed, correct?
Correct.
And with each one of these represent cameras that we just talked about in that exhibit equals 33.
Yes.
And if you double click on the cameras, it makes them individual screen, correct?
Yes.
All right. This would be that one that faces towards Vista Del Mar and Selma.
Correct.
Camera 3 would be that next camera to the left, which covers, you said, the front entrance of the building, correct?
Correct.
Jump over to camera, is that 5? I believe it's 5.
Correct.
All right. That area that we see in the top left of this camera, is that that curve on Vista Del Mar that you were talking about?
Yes, that camera will be facing roughly west and south.
Towards the curve.
Correct.
And then the last one, camera 4, which direction will that camera be facing?
That will be facing eastbound towards the central.
Got it. Okay. And if you play these videos on this player, would you agree that the 4 cameras that are displayed there play simultaneously?
Yes.
So they're each playing what they captured that moment, correct?
Correct.
I'm going to start with camera 2. And we'll play it. Pause it. If you could read the time at the bottom, I don't know if we switch screens, but the timestamp at the bottom left here.
It's 22:17:25.
Okay. All right, I'm going to jump over to camera 3. And I'll play at this portion. And pause it. The time.
22:17:29.
And so would that have shown the same person that we saw running away in camera 2 as they're crossing from the building?
Yes, it's in sequence.
Okay. We'll jump over to number 5 that faces the curve. My wanted fast already, I'll let you from here. Is it moving?
It's not playing.
It's not moving.
Who is this running?
Now, would that be the same person that we saw in the last two cameras as well?
Yes,
Okay, and on camera number 4, is that individual now towards the top of the screen here?
yes.
And pausing it, can you give us the time?
22:17:40.
Would that be when the man in the black sweatshirt beats up the person who's wearing the red jacket?
Yes.
Can we go back in time a little bit? You would agree that the sequence we just played was following the man in the black sweatshirt, correct?
Correct.
Alright. Go back and then ask to follow the other individuals. Before I hit play, would you give us the timestamp again?
22:16:57.
All right. So we've gone back in time now, would you agree?
Yes.
And I will hit play from here. So after the man in the black sweatshirt runs away, what does the man in the red jacket do?
He pauses initially, then he follows the man in the black sweatshirt.
And the other two individuals, you see one of them walking in the same direction that those man in the black and man in the red jacket went?
Yes.
Is he walking towards what would be El Centro?
Yes, he's walking northbound Vista Del Mar, which turns to El Centro.
Can we go to camera 3? He's wearing a blue jacket, fair to say?
Yes.
Now to camera 5. And then last thing, camera 4. Would you agree he walks up Vista Del Mar, makes that turn, and then walks towards El Centro?
Correct.
Okay. Do you recall the time, the amount of video that you collected from that location, the time specifically?
I do not. I believe there's two clips, different portions for 16:16. Vista Del Mar.
1 second then. Okay, Your Honor, we have written stipulations that will be entered. Do you want me to mark them as
Yes.
entered? Okay.
Yes.
So let's mark them as 35.
You already did that, didn't I?
Good.
You did. I've already did it. It's an agreement, it's just an agreement between both sides regarding the fact.
And the further would be that that stipulation would mean that once it's entered, that fact is proven and
Beyond reasonable doubt.
is not even a determination.
Okay. I'm gonna put it up and I'll read it into the record. I'm gonna start with stipulation number 1. The parties stipulate as follows. Stipulation number 1, surveillance video from 1616 Vista Del Mar Avenue. On November 9th, 2021, Detective Frank Flores and Carlos Carlos Camacho of the Los Angeles Police Department, LAPD, downloaded surveillance video from a privately owned business at 1616 Mr. Del Mar Avenue in Hollywood. The video was originally recorded between 10:10 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. and 11 p.m. to 11:20 p.m. on November 6, 2021. The surveillance video contained People's Exhibit 15 is a true and correct copy of that video. The system video date and timestamp are accurate to actual time. So, Detective, you were saying you can collect video between two different times, correct?
Correct.
So from 10:10 to 10:30, that would be a portion of which was just played as we went through the video, correct?
Yes.
Then the next portion that you collected started a half an hour later.
Correct.
So, did you personally watch any of the video between 10:30 p.m. and 11 p.m.?
I believe we screened it through that time period when we were present.
And what did that portion collect or capture, if you recall?
From my recollection, it didn't capture anything that we saw pertinent to the case.
Would it have captured the patrol officer's response?
Yes, it would.
Okay. Did you collect the video between 10:30 p.m. to 11 p.m.?
I'm sorry?
Did you collect that video though from 10:30 to 11 p.m.?
No.
And why did you collect that video?
Again, we were focused on the time periods where the victim had indicated the incident occurred and he had returned.
So you were mainly focused on collecting video of the actual shooting incident, correct?
Correct.
Now, we heard through the stipulation, and I believe through your testimony, that you also collected video from 11 to 11:20, correct?
That's correct.
So why is it that you collected video from that portion of the video?
Again, there was indication that the victim said he had returned to recover evidence from the scene, so that's what we were trying to verify.
Had you spoken to Mr. Efron at that point?
Yes, I believe we had spoken to Mr. Efron before we went out to campus initially.
And he told you that he went back to collect it, correct?
Correct.
When he told you he went back to collect it, when did he tell you he went back?
He said roughly within an hour.
Okay, so we're gonna go to that second video. So it's from the same system, correct?
Correct.
Let's see. Go down to the second one. I know we're getting close to the meeting, Mark, but I can just cover this one topic. Have this second video paused at 23:09:44. The 11:09:44 p.m. Correct?
Correct.
This is crazy.
And there's only video collected from camera 2 at this portion, correct?
Correct.
I
Keep
will
showing
play
the
it
same
forward
thing.
from here.
Why? What do we need to see at different angles?
Do you see an individual with kind of a light colored top and a dark colored bottom or pants walking around that area? We're gonna have 6 pages. If they may be marked as People's 39, A through F. I'm going to start with People's 39A. Do you recognize the area that's depicted in this photograph?
Yes, I do.
And what would this be?
That is the angle of the master bedroom facing the bed.
Okay. Would you agree with this be the same room that you've been talking about where the firearms were specifically located?
Correct.
All right, we go to 39B.
What?
Do you recognize what you see here?
Yes, that's a side table adjacent to the bed.
Okay. There's an item with a red rectangle around it, just above that side table. Can you make out that item?
Yes,
What is that?
it's a handgun.
And would that be the handgun that you were describing earlier?
Yeah, I describe it as a kind of a large caliber handgun.
All right, before we move on, there's another set of boxes or items at the lower left-hand corner with another red rectangle around them. What's that?
Correct. I believe that was the case where the rifle and shotgun were contained.
Is this somebody's house?
Carrying case.
Let's start with the handgun. That item, would you agree, was directly behind essentially like the headboard of the bed?
Yes, kind of behind the bed.
All right, I'll show you 39C. Do you recognize what
Robbie, I know
Yes.
that is not your
What is
word.
that?
That's the handgun. Again, I
It's a
described it as
dirty
a large
word.
caliber handgun.
Just a close-up of the same gun we just pointed out.
Correct.
Okay. Do you know what caliber handgun that was?
I believe it's a 44 caliber handgun.
Are you positive that it was not a 9mm handgun?
Yes.
Did you inspect the gun?
I saw it where it was, and as the detectives that found it located the key to me, I don't recall picking it up and handling it myself.
Did you inspect it enough to determine whether or not it was a real gun?
Yes.
Was it a real gun?
Yes.
Do you know whether or not it was loaded?
Wait, hold on.
I do not know.
Is that a revolver or a semi-automatic?
That's a semi-automatic.
And is there a magazine for that handgun?
Yes.
Is it loaded? Is it shoved up inside of the grip?
From this angle, it looks like there is a magazine seated in the weapon.
Okay. All right. I'm going to move back over to People's 39D and focus on the items in the bottom left corner. And for that, I'm going to display People's 39D. You recognize what you see there?
Yes.
Just a better angle of the same
Why
outside
is
boxes,
your
correct?
word
Correct.
so junky?
Okay. Go to 39E. What do you see there?
Yes, that's where you see the one case that's been opened. You can see inside, I believe that is the rifle.
And when you see that, it's closer to the bottom of the page, because there's two boxes here, correct?
Correct, there's two boxes. So I'm looking at the lower box here, specifically, it's kind of cracked open, and you can see the inside. And I can see the bottom end of what I believe is the rifle.
And did you inspect that gun close enough to know if it was a real gun or a fake gun?
Correct, yes.
And what was it?
It's a real gun.
And does that gun fire 9mm ammunition?
It does not.
Okay. And then lastly, 39F. Do you recognize what you see there?
Yes, here on the right. So both cases are now open. The case on the right specifically, I can see the outline of the shotgun, also in addition to the shotgun shells in the carrier and the stock.
See if I can get the glare off there. It's kind of hard to see. There. The shotgun you described as being on the right-hand side, correct?
Correct. Shotguns here on the right, rifles on the left, and that's two separate cases.
Got it, okay. And with the shotgun specifically, did you inspect it close enough to tell if it was a real gun or a fake gun?
Yes,
And what were the
real gun.
Okay. Will that gun shoot 9mm ammunition, the shotgun?
No.
Did you collect any of those guns?
No.
Why not?
They weren't part of what we were looking for pursuant to the search warrant.
And was that specifically 9mm caliber handgun?
9mm caliber weapons and the evidence of possession, purchase, anything related to a 9mm, specifically 9mm handgun.
Okay. Those three guns in that location, would that be where they were when you first observed them?
Yes.
In close proximity to the bed in the master bedroom?
Yes.
Okay. In addition to the three guns that we just talked about, was there any other firearm-related evidence that you were alerted to in his home?
Yes.
What was that?
A magazine, 9mm magazine for a Glock 23, collected from a box in the master bedroom closet.
Now I'm going to mark two more photos. To 40A and B. Start with people's 40A. Do you recognize what you see there?
Yes.
And just to orient the jurors, this white object on the left lower right corner, would that be the bed?
Yes, this is from the headboard view, the headboard looking towards the foot of the bed. On the right is the kind of walk-in closet. On the left is the kind of walk-in master suite bathroom. And then I believe there's a sliding glass door here on the far left leading out to kind of a balcony.
Okay. Lastly, I'll go to part B. Do you recognize what you see there?
Yes.
And what is that?
That's a box containing ammunition, magazines for a rifle, and specifically a rifle. And in the center here, there's the magazine that was recovered containing live ammunition, specifically 9mm ammunition.
What?
In that photograph, underneath the magazines, it looks like there are a number of boxes. What are those boxes?
The boxes underneath are ammunition, I believe, that was consistent with the rifle that was in one of the cases.
Were any of those boxes consistent with 9mm ammunition?
No.
Okay.
You said that magazine was for a 9mm handgun, correct? A smaller one?
Yes, I believe it's a Glock 23.
And was that 9mm magazine collected along with the ammunition that was loaded inside?
Yes, it was.
I have two envelopes here, Your Honor. In agreement with the defense, they are inner envelopes that were taken out of the larger outer envelope. Another item that was in the outer envelope is not being used, so it is returned to the detective, and we're just using the inner envelope.
Is that part of 32? Or do you want to mark it separately?
I think I want to mark it separately, Your Honor, and I'll mark each of the envelopes separately so we don't get them confused.
The first one's gonna be 41.
I'll mark the magazines as 1. And I'll mark the ammunition as 42. These envelopes were opened as the jurors were walking in, so they are previously opened. Detective, I'll approach first with, let me write it on the envelope so I don't forget the numbers. 41. Do you recognize that object?
Yes.
And what is that?
That's the magazine that we recovered and showing that photograph on the screen.
In the master bedroom closet?
Correct.
Okay. Can you describe what that object is, or tell us the features of it? What's the brand of that object?
It's a Glock brand magazine, which has a capacity of 6 rounds that can get loaded. And the semi-automatic firearm rounds are loaded into the magazine. As you press it down, they're loaded to capacity. And then once the magazine is filled to whatever ammunition is available or to capacity, it's then seated inside of the weapon. The weapon is then charged and you chamber it around into the chamber. Takes the gun ready.
Hurry up and get to the point. Is it what ASAP had? What I just want to know.
And you specifically said this was for a Glock, correct?
Glock 43.
Okay. 9mm.
9mm.
And then People's 42 has, you want to count how many there are?
There's 6 live rounds of ammunition for all 9mm.
Are they all the same make and model? Yeah.
Yes.
And what caliber are they?
9mm.
And what's the brand?
Same Luger.
SIG, S-I-G, Luger, L-U-G-E-R. I'll put one of these on the screen. First, I'm going to put up
You in this screen.
That's the magazine, correct?
Correct.
And then next to it, I'll put one of the items from People's 42. That's the unfired bullet, correct?
Correct. That's a live round of 9mm.
Okay. And then on the bottom is where it says SIG 9mm Luger, correct?
Correct.
I'll put that back in envelope number 42, and I'll put the magazine back in envelope 41. Did you observe any guns which would accept or utilize the magazine with the mark as People's 41?
No. None that I found, none that were pointed out to me or identified by anybody else in the search team.
In your experience owning firearms, specifically with semi-automatic firearms, is it common that if you own a gun, you may possess multiple magazines for that firearm?
Yes. My experience, anytime I purchased a gun, semi-automatic specifically, it's come with more than just one magazine.
Based on your experience in law enforcement and with gun ownership specifically, are you aware of any purpose why someone would possess a single handgun magazine without also possessing a gun capable of accepting?
Objection or closed regulations.
Why? Protection. Why would you?
During the entirety of the search at the defendant's home, did you personally observe any fake guns, prop guns, or starter guns?
I did not, and nothing to that description was pointed out to me or identified during the search.
During the search, did you observe any ammunition or a prop gun, a fake gun, or a starter gun?
No, I did not, and along the same lines, nothing was identified to me by any other member of the search team.
Hurry up with your questions. Oh, goodness. You're asking the same questions.
When it related to this case, were you first made aware that there was an allegation that the gun used at the scene was a prop gun, a fake gun, or a starter pistol?
Objection.
Hold on.
He was made aware.
He didn't find it at his house, so be quiet.
You can answer, Detective. So when related to this investigation was the first time that you were made aware the allegation that the gun used at the scene was a prop gun, a fake gun, or a starter pistol?
I believe it was last Monday, which was the I'd have to look at my calendar. It was Monday when I think you called to let me know, and I was made aware that that was
Okay, when you say the Monday, would it have been around when jury selection
I'm
started
here
in this case, or was there already evidence being presented?
that was right during jury selection.
Okay, around the
Why you
20th,
just
does
can't
that sound
say-
about right?
Yes.
Of January?
Ask the
Right.
question.
And we're talking about 2020.
Is it the compound used to graze Relly's knuckles?
All right, folks, the clock has been adjusted, so the clock is now accurate. So let's break until 5 minutes to 3, at which time we will resume. Please don't stress the case amongst yourselves.
Okay, they are taking a break, guys, so I will come back with this live. Because this part is boring. And I just, oh, wait a minute. His lawyer. Man, right there.
I've spoken before.
Go on, get him.
Yeah.
Get him.
November 2023, right?
Correct.
By the way, let's just start out where you finished off. You had some questions about when you personally were made aware of one of the issues raised by the defense.
Don't be lying.
Being in possession of a
Get him.
firearm. And you said it was fairly recent before the trial started, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Obviously, you never spoke to Mr. Maris from the day of the incident till today.
Correct.
You never spoke to 12B from the day of the incident till today.
Correct.
All right, you never spoke to Blue 11 from the day of the incident, correct?
Not a question. I don't even even know if
You certainly
ASAP
don't
was
know if
arrested
Mr.
for this.
Mayor was right, as told his attorneys several years ago. Do you?
I'm not aware.
And of course, you know, there's no depositions in criminal cases, correct?
Correct.
So basically what you're being asked are questions related to discovery and disclosure in a criminal case, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. One second.
It's gonna be alright, Judge.
Sure.
I know you're tired.
So you were assigned to investigate this case, I think it was November 9th
November 9th.
of 2021, along with detectives Michael and correct?
Correct.
And you've been sitting here in court every day, trial watching every witness.
For the most part, yes.
For the most part, yeah. And as the detective assigned to this case, you're familiar with all the police reports generated in connection with this case.
Yes.
And because police reports are relied on at hearings and trials like this one, as a case detective, you want to ensure that those reports are as complete and accurate as possible, right?
Yes, I mean, they are a summary of the information gathered. There are other parts of the information that's gathered to go along with that, recordings, interviews, stuff like that, but it's a summary.
Sure. But you want that summary to be as accurate as possible, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes. And as a case detective, you spoke with other officers with knowledge about this case as part of your investigation.
Yes, we do.
And obviously, as a case detective, it's your job to look for all relevant information.
Yes, as much as we can, correct.
For example, you reviewed and retrieved the video recordings pertaining to this incident,
Correct.
some of which we talked about just seen, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. 1616 East Belmar, one, right?
Yes.
6200 Hollywood, is it Hollywood Boulevard?
Yes.
Hollywood Boulevard is another, yes, sir.
Correct.
And you retrieved the East Belmar video on November 9th, 2021.
That's correct.
Okay, and the Hollywood Boulevard video, I think it was a few weeks later, November 18th.
I believe that is correct.
Now, on November 8th, 2021, law enforcement received two 9mm Luger shell casings from Mr. Harris.
Correct, per the initial crime report, yes.
And those shell casings were submitted to the fingerprint analysis lab about 2 weeks later on November 21st, 2020.
I believe that's when they were tested, yes.
You're familiar that the fingerprints can typically be left behind on bullets when they're touched and loaded in a firearm, right?
There is always a possibility that anything that's touched can leave a fingerprint trace behind.
So the answer is yes, they can, right?
Yes, sir.
And the latent print lab, the latent print lab unit completed its fingerprint analysis of those two shell casings on November 23rd, 2020.
That sounds correct.
And after examining the casings provided by Mr. Efron, law enforcement lifted exactly 0 fingerprints off them, correct?
That's correct. 0 points for the.
So there were no fingerprints of anyone on those shell casings.
That's correct.
On April 20th of 2022, so we're fast forwarding a little bit, you secured a search warrant to obtain DNA swabs from Mr. Mayor's.
Correct. That was included in the search warrant for that date that it was executed.
Right. And in order to obtain that search warrant, you swore to a judge that DNA from Mr. Mayor's was clearly necessary for analysis for probable cause purposes as well as evidentiary purposes.
Yes, to include potential evidence that could be in custody or that could be collected at some point during the investigation. A comparison can be made. If any evidence that we have or collect along the way can be compared to.
Correct. And after getting the search warrant for Mr. Mayor's DNA, you took samples of his saliva on April 20th, 2022.
Yes, as part of that arise through sample taken.
Right. And although you affirmed that DNA was clearly necessary as part of the case. Law enforcement never submitted anything for DNA analysis in this case.
Correct, we didn't collect or have anything further to compare it to. At least it was, correct.
The alleged altercation between Mr. Efron and Mr. Mays took place on November 6, 2021, around 10:17 p.m.
Yes, sir.
In particular, Mr. Efron claimed he was shot at the corner of Vista Del Mar and Summer Avenue.
Yes, in that area.
And according to the video footage obtained by you from 1616 Vista Del Mar, the physical altercation lasted about 25 seconds. That whole thing.
Roughly.
According to you, based on your knowledge from the investigation and your review of the videos in this case, after leaving the scene of the altercation at around 10:17, Mr. Efron initially claimed he returned to the scene at around 11:09 p.m.
We object as to, vague as to what he's talking about when Mr. Efron was.
They completely dead on accurate, 11:09 every minute.
Yes, sir. I'm not sure about the exact time, but I think he roughly said within an hour of the incident.
Would you agree it's somewhere around the events of that time, 11:09?
Vague as to when.
Okay, I can go to the preliminary hearing on just read the question and answer.
We object properly.
That's why not be
I don't see it as being impeachment. Why don't you tell, just clarify what it was that,
Mr. Efron told you 52 minutes more later, he came back to the scene, correct?
I don't recall him saying the exact time, but I do recall him saying roughly within an hour after the initial incident. He returned.
And you got that from watching the videos, correct?
On the first review, yes, that's what I believe was consistent.
And I understand your testimony is now changed to saying you don't think it's him, but initially, you certainly thought that person you saw was him
Yes,
at 11:09, right?
yes, that was my belief.
Okay. And to you, at least, that was Mr. Efron in the videos,
That was my belief because it was consistent with the time frame that he provided.
right? It was consistent with what Mr. Efron told law enforcement.
Correct, within the hour estimate.
And that person, whoever that person was, Mr. Efron initially said it was him, you believe it was him initially, leaves the scene at 11:11 p.m., 2 minutes later.
Roughly.
Object, the first part of this question, Susan backs on evidence.
No, it's back in evidence.
all right, stop, read the question back.
And that person, whoever that person was, Mr. Efron initially said it was him. Don't you read it either?
I can approach her and try not to speak in there.
I frankly don't remember what you said.
You are so, I'm not really now, I'm not trying to mislead, but I'm just saying initially he said it was him, that's what my question was. I know now it's changed, well, Mr. Efron that second. But initially, he said it was him. So whoever that person was, I started my question out with. Who Mr. Efron initially said was him, left the scene 2 minutes later.
I don't know if it's an evidence or not. I can't remember every single.
You just said it.
I would, then I would change the objection to being argumentative. If he wants to ask, did that person leave within 2 minutes, I have no problem with that. But we don't need the argumentative part of getting to that question.
You're on, I'm not. Hold on a second, I can do this easy. Did Mr. Efron initially say that that was him?
Y'all's confusing the judge.
I don't recall if he used those words exactly. I believe he made a comment that may have indicated that. But,
Well, for instance, you were here when he testified at this trial.
correct.
Do you remember when he said at this trial from the jury that he was sure that that was him?
Yes.
Okay. So, just a week ago, or a few days ago, Mr. Efron said that was him, correct?
Correct.
So whoever that person was, that person that Mr. Efron swore he was handing to this jury initially left 2 minutes later.
Roughly within 2 minutes, that person left.
Objection to prompt? Yes, please.
Yes. And to be clear, you observed all the video footage that was recovered in this case.
Yes,
So if that is not, in your position, it's not Mr. Efron, at least you don't think it's Mr. Efron. Based on your testimony today, you have absolutely no video showing Mr. Efron ever returning to the scene, correct?
correct.
Now, amongst the video you reviewed in this case was body cam footage won by officers at the scene who responded that night, correct?
Correct.
You watched that? Yes, sir?
Yes,
And you're aware, before Mr. Efron or whoever that person was returned to the scene 52 minutes later, law enforcement had arrived.
yes,
And certainly before, if Mr. Efron returned to the scene, certainly before Mr. Efron returned to the scene, law enforcement had arrived.
correct.
And the police arrived at the scene about 18 minutes after the incident.
Yes, roughly.
Okay. And there were at least 7 officers there.
Yes,
And while they were at the scene of the incident, 18 minutes after it ended, these 7 officers were canvassing the area.
yes. They were walking in and about the area of Selma and this and that.
And you saw them on the video searching the area of the
Yes,
altercation.
adjacent parking lot, yes,
Yeah. Using the flashlights,
correct.
looking on the ground. You saw them.
Yes,
I know you know this answer, I'm gonna ask it that way. You know law enforcement did not cover any cases in this case, correct?
correct. The officer responding did not find or recover any cases.
No officers ever covered any shell cases.
Yeah.
Right?
No, you're asking for the radio call, the officer responded initially? No.
Yes. Or any other police officer covered any cases from the scene?
Only the officer at the front desk that, who took the casings.
Yeah, my question was from the scene.
Okay, no, not from the scene.
In fact, they didn't locate any sign of shooting, correct?
Correct. Other than the radio call?
Right. But that's a call, and you heard both CISO testify, Sergeant CISO now, you heard him testify, a lot of people think big calls or they can be misinterpreted things, correct? You heard that.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of reasons. Sometimes people are just not, don't stick around after.
But in any event, you do agree that the officers who arrived 18 minutes later didn't locate any sign of shooting.
That's correct.
And despite that, as shown on the video, after the police left and Mr. Efron returned to the scene, he supposedly located the shell casings by himself without a flashlight within minutes.
I believe he said he used the light on his phone and he located it.
Within minutes.
Yes,
You were in this courtroom when Mr. Efron testified that this individual named Twelby had a knife on this incident, right?
yes,
And you're familiar with a summary investigative report related to this case dated August 5th, 2022, sir? Yes?
yes, I am.
And that's a collective sort of prior statements and a summary of the investigation overall.
That is a specific levels of finding summary.
And that's what you use to file the case with the district attorney's office.
Correct.
Or- So obviously, in that report, you certainly wouldn't want there to be any accuracies, right?
Correct. It just, as it relates to the crime, yes, correct.
That's what relates to the crime.
Yes, sir.
Your name is on that report, right, sir?
My name is on the report.
And what you wrote in the last line, the first page of this report, the collective statements, is that the victim observed Yulunga, in ASAP Hills, was armed with a knife. Did you write that?
I didn't author this report.
Is it in that report?
It is in that report.
So some police officer wrote that?
Yes,
Who, do you
I
know?
believe that was my partner, Detective Crunch.
Where do you know? He used to be there, right?
He was in the back of the
He's
property.
gone. But he was there. The guy was there.
Yeah, he's been here.
You're right. And it was brought to your attention during the preliminary hearing on November 20th, 2023, that this report said Mr. Efron identified ASAP Hills as the one armed with a knife. We discussed that in the preliminary hearing, sir.
Yes, sir.
And if you thought that that report was inaccurate, you certainly could have asked for that to be changed at any point, correct?
Yes, sir. I mean, but honestly, yes, that was a mistake. And but the prior interviews that were recorded of Mr. Efron from the telephonic interview on the 9th and the in-person interview on December 17th, 2021, he was consistent on both interviews that the person with the knife was in fact Chloe. The report prepared for that August filing, there was an error and it didn't indicate the wrong person. That is correct.
Well, as I just asked you, if you thought that report was inaccurate, you could have asked that to change, correct?
Yes.
And you never did?
No, I mean, I answered your question. I mean, it's the record, I think, believe, captured through the interviews is clear what Mr. Efron said versus what our mistake was.
No, it's not my question. Did you change your report?
No, we did not generate another report to correct it. Correct.
So, you were here obviously last Tuesday, January 28th, when Mr. Efron testified on the record that he saw a knife being held after Rocky put the alleged gun away, correct?
Correct.
All right. And with regard to the knife, Mr. Efron told police in November of 2021 that he saw the knife being held while Rocky was pointing the alleged gun at him, and he was yelling Rocky, right?
Correct. I believe that's the way it was described in that comment.
So while Rocky's holding the alleged gun at him and pointing at him, he's seeing a knife simultaneously.
He's seen it during that event, correct?
During that event, while the gun is being pointed at him, correct?
That's the way it's described in the report, yes, sir.
You also heard Mr. Efron's testimony last Tuesday, January 28th, that he saw the knife being put away, and he then said, "What the F you got a knife for?" Remember that testimony last week?
Yes, sir.
And in November of 2021, Mr. Efron told the police that only after he said, "Why you got a knife?" did that knife get put away. Recall that?
I don't recall that specifically, sir.
I'll show you the report.
Okay.
It's 77 in our database. It's please follow the investigation report from November 9th, 2020.
Sustained. The objection sustained.
Counselor?
This is not the proper person to either refute or confirm what Relly Efron told some other officer. So the objection sustained. One second.
May that you saw an arrest warrant on Mr. Mayers on April 13th, 2022.
Correct, that's the date it was signed.
And to be clear, law enforcement received Mr. Efron's complaint 5 months earlier, November 8th, 2021.
When we received it, it would have been the 9th, it was, the initial report was taken on the 8th, correct?
The 8th or the 9th, but 9th of November 2021, you guys, PD, like the station house guy, remember, right?
Correct.
On that same day, law enforcement received November 8th, 2 9mm casings from Mr. Efron.
Correct.
The next day, you along with Detectives Camacho and we spoke to Mr. Efron again in Atlanta.
Yes, telephonic interview.
By the way, that same day, November 9th, Mr. Efron told you he decided not to become involved in Rocky's music business any longer. You know what I'm saying, that?
I believe the statement's like that.
Also on November 9, 2021, law enforcement received surveillance video pertaining to the incident from 1616 East Belmar
Correct.
and Hollywood Boulevard on November 18th.
Day 7
61.
tape
Yeah.
court hearing.
And on November 10th, 2021, law enforcement obtained authorization
I want
to
to
search T-Mobile
Let me see.
information for
Hold up. Wait.
told him that he needs to go get medical attention and medically treated because of the type of case that this is, correct?
Objection, calls for speculation.
Okay, Your Honor, there's tape in evidence that I'll play a portion of. We have to look.
I would object seriously.
In evidence.
The jury's already heard, so
It's
technically, it is hearsay, go on to something else. The jury's already heard it. You can play it in final argument.
Judge is tied.
Junior.
I remember the comment, I think I remember that line of questioning, and I think I made a comment prior to that as well.
Okay.
And I think in the context that he was making a comment about his injury, and I think I also suggested he should get looked at, and I think that's when Detective Menifee also made her statement.
Her statement was that he needs to go get medically treated because of the type of case that this is, correct?
I believe that's the context.
And with regard to his statements, Mr. Efron first reported this incident to the police, again, just to be clear, 2 days later, November 8, 2020.
Correct.
He didn't call 911,
No,
didn't go to the police on November 6, 2021.
that's correct.
Waited 2 days before reporting to law enforcement.
Yes, sir.
And when he did finally walk to a police station in Los Angeles to report to law enforcement, he did so in person with his attorney, Brian Hurwitz.
Yes.
And you were here last week when Mr. Efron testified on cross-examination that he did not recall telling law enforcement that he told him attorney Brian Hurwitz who told him to retrieve the shell casings from the scene. Are you here, sir?
Object is for relevance.
You hear what he said?
I believe that was.
Sustained.
But when Mr. Efron reported the incident to the police, he did, in fact, make that claim, correct? He told the police that after the alleged shooting, he called attorney Brian Hurwitz, and that Mr. Hurwitz told him to return to the scene of the altercation and retrieve the shell casings. Do you remember that?
Sure. What he's talking.
Read it back, please.
When Mr. Efron reported the incident to the police, he did in fact make that claim, correct? He told the police that after the alleged shooting, he called attorney Brian Horowitz, and that Mr. Horowitz told him to return to the scene of the altercation and retrieve the shell casings.
What's the legal name?
He's saying
It is, yes.
He told you that Brian Hurwitz, his attorney, instructed him to return to the scene to retrieve the shell casings, correct?
Trying to recall the exact context, I know he made several calls, and he was given advice to go back. I don't remember the sequence of phone calls
So,
with Mr. Hurwitz.
The
And this is my
police
refresher. I'm
didn't
going to show
see
you
shell
your-
casings.
Okay. 75 is the August 5th, 2022.
But Raleigh goes back and he finds the shell casing. Is that what y'all trying to tell me?
Second page.
This is about.
Yeah.
How he sees shell cases that they didn't see? Because he's lying. Unless he put him there his dad was, he put him there himself. I don't know. Let me keep on listening.
I don't see this.
This is wearing me out too, Traci. This is wearing me out. I know the owner is wore out. Oh my goodness. Poor thing. Put your baby mama through all this. Shut yourself. Ain't nobody got time for all this. This is ridiculous. wasting time and money. Why you just ain't pay Russell? That's all he wants is money. Hey, take this money and shut up. Whining like a baby. Judge, old, tired, you wanna go to sleep.
Jack, this too. Can we approach?
Anything can be used to refresh recollection.
Anything can be used to refresh recollection.
I don't want to do speaking section, you want to briefly approach?
Yes.
Please don't turn on another, well, that was boring to me. But, I want ASAP to go free. So, in this particular hearing, are they telling me are they actually telling me that Relly the police didn't see the gunshots, right? I mean, not the gunshots, the shell casings. Relly goes back. He finds the shell casings himself in the dark, using the light from his phone. I don't know. I think he's telling a lie. Maybe he put them there himself. I just don't think that anything like that could happen. I just think that if the police went to see and they didn't find it, how all of a sudden did they just appear? I'm really confused with all that. And before I end this live, I would like to say, why do we make it to where we want to be and then all of a sudden we just mess up? Going to court and wasting time and doing all of this after you have been blessed with so much. God has given you any and everything that they could have possibly imagined in their life. And then you end up doing this and you bring your mama and everybody else up. I find that to be very ridiculous. I find that to be very ridiculous. I thank y'all for watching the live, because I don't want to listen to it anymore. I don't. I can go live on my own. Because I'm mad now. I'm mad at everybody. I'm mad at ASAP. I'm mad at Relly. I'm mad at all this going on. All this is going on. I'm mad about it. I'm mad about it. I'm mad. But anywho, I'm still follow it because I need to know what's going on with this trial. And when the Zaire Harris trial start, I need to be up on that too. I thank y'all for watching, joining. What I want you to do right now is like, share, and subscribe. And I'm going to come back live by myself. So I thank you for watching. Thank you.